welcome to another episode of Trauma to Triumph. My name is Lindley. I'm the host. Today, we're going to discuss about letting go. Our speaker today is Loren Lahav. Welcome, Loren. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Lynn. It's great to be here with you.
Can you share with us a little bit about yourself?
I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been in the personal development world for now almost 32 years. And I've written several books, and I have a podcast, but more than anything, I just enjoy every moment of my life. I embrace the good, the bad, the ugly.
Everything happened for us to experience life, right?
Yep.
And bad or the good, the one that we're struggling, the one that are empowering us, if we go through and break through it, right? So that's the purpose of that series called Trauma to Triumph. Let's discuss why is it difficult for people to let go of the past?
Because they like
or let go of anything that they're struggling with.
Like the story. We get attached to the story. We think that just defines who we are. I think that, it's like there's certainty. We have certainty in knowing our story. Tony Robbins always says that people will do anything to remain consistent with their identity, even if it sabotages everything that they want. So it's kind of like you've heard it said, the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't know, right? So people love that need for certainty. And so lots of times our certainty, even if it's not serving us, we'd like to hang on to the story, right? Because it gives us some certainty. At least we know that story. And instead of realizing that it might be that story, if it's not empowering you, it could be holding you back. It could be your shackles. Instead of using it as your fuel, we use it as shackles and say, why we can't. We talk about the 6 human needs, right? The need for certainty, the need for variety, the need for love and connection, the need for significance, the need for growth and contribution. Well, when people hang on to their old story, lots of times it gives them significance. They have a significance. They're like, get people to be empathetic lots of times with regards to us, right? And it gives us, we get that love and connection. We feel that significance, gives us certainty that we know our story. But there's really, if it's not serving you, you're not growing. So sometimes somebody might give it some variety for them. But when it meets at least 3 of those needs, we keep doing it, whether it's positive or negative lots of times. Instead of realizing that the best way out of pain is always through it. Can't jump around it, can't jump over it, can't jump under it. The best way out is through it. And I don't know about you, there were certain times I was like, how the heck am I going to get out of this? I mean, I had many on my knees moments. I don't know if anybody else please God, like many moments. But I knew that it was temporary, but I knew I had to change my mindset. I had to change like how I was going to show up. And if I'm going to get, through these times, who do I need to become in my life? Change is scary. Not having to embrace something new can be really scary, but it's also can be really beautiful as well.
Okay, so people are having difficulty to let go is familiarity. They are comfortable or they have an emotions attached to whatever the situation is. They have that attachment to that belief, so they can't let go. That's one of the reasons, right?
Right, but there's growth and comfort, right? When do we grow the most? We grow the most not when things are all good. We grow the most when we're challenged. We grow the most when we're learning lessons. I like to say that I am happily discontent in my life, meaning I'm grateful for what I have in my life. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for the opportunities. I'm grateful for all those things, but I'm discontent because I know that I can do more. I know there's more of me. So when we talk about comfort, lots of times when we're comfortable, that's usually also, it's about ourselves. When your mission or your vision is bigger than you, then you have to get uncomfortable. It's like having a business, just having your own business is one thing, but when you have to employ people, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get up now because I got other people that are counting on me, right? So that's good because it pushes you to get a little bit uncomfortable. If people can, once again, use that as fuel versus as like, I'm good, I'm comfortable, I know my story, I know, I don't need to grow. But they realize that, man, there's more of them. I have a quote in my book, my second book, and it's, at the end of my life, I just want to slide on into heaven because I want God to know that she used every bit of talent that she gave me. Or you've heard the Mother Teresa quote, that God only gives you challenges that you can handle. And then people say, I wish that God didn't trust me so much. You want to become more. You want to be stronger. I think that if people could use to look at that and go, man, how can I take this situation that's uncomfortable but turning it into something really beautiful?
For example, a cup of water, we can only fill up so much, right? All these emotions attached to these thoughts or beliefs that if we let them go, then our identity or our beliefs won't be valid anymore.
Then you get a great chance to reinvent yourself.
Exactly. The struggle is to remove all these thoughts and beliefs that are attached to your narrative, to the story that you have been living for so long, that make it difficult for you to let go. So what you need to do is to go inward and question yourself. Why? What is the cause of you having difficulty to let it go?
Well, I think you can also do it in a really beautiful way. It's called effective blame. You could say, you could be grateful for those experiences, right? I'm grateful for those really tough times. For me, I was a little Jewish girl from a very small town in the South, and it was hard. It was not easy. But now I go, man, I'm so grateful for those times because it helped me become more empathetic. It helped me become more understanding of people that were minorities. It helped me. So I think that instead of just trying to get rid of those beliefs, take those beliefs and turn them into something beautiful. Like I'm grateful that even though it was horrible to lose my house and lose my best friend when I was in college, or all of those things, but who have I become because of them? So you say, because of that, because I went through that experience, here's what I've learned and who I've become. Once again, if you can use those emotions as fuel versus your, oh, poor me story, right? Like I think I was sharing with you before when we were talking, they were talking about two guys that went off to war, and they were identical twin brothers, right? And they went off to war and they both came back with their legs blown off, and one became a very, very successful businessman, and the other one became homeless and didn't have anything and was angry and frustrated. And they asked them exactly the same question, and they said, why are you the way that you are? They both said the same answers in two totally different rooms. And it was, well, how else could I be? So someone could take a situation and they could take it and go, oh my gosh, well, I'm freaking never going to go there again, right, with regards to that. And somebody else takes it and goes, oh, I'm going to use that as my poor me story. We say this all the time, where focus goes, energy flows, right? If you're focused on how am I going to take this experience and use this for the greater good, that's not about you, so it's bigger than yourself, so it's a great thing. If you go, oh my gosh, like poor me, and you're not thinking about the greater good, you're gonna kind of comfortable, like we said, and I'll just wallow in my sorrow. And I'm just sharing with you of what I've seen. I would encourage you to look at, where is your home? Where is that emotional home for you?
Logically, we want to let go. We want to validate why we feel the way we feel. We want to let go. We want somebody to apologize or whatever that solution is. We want a solution. The reason we hold on to the stuff is because logically we want a solution, right?
Yeah, but that's got to happen within, right?
Correct.
In what way did we play a part of this? Does that make sense? You have to look and go, what part did I play a part of this to realize that maybe I shouldn't have put myself in that situation in the first place, where someone needs to apologize to me. Maybe I didn't speak up. Maybe I wasn't true to myself. Maybe I wasn't, all that. It's a deep dive. And it's a scary deep dive for people. I remember even for me, like with lots of times in my life when I had to take a big deep breath and go, you know what? I am responsible for this. And I have to own it. Owning it is the tough thing.
We're looking for solutions because the narrative we have within us. It may be somebody's mistakes and they did it and that it hurts you, but unknowingly they didn't know. But it's the narrative that we tell ourselves. So that's why to let it go is to let go for yourself.
For yourself, for sure.
The best solution is find the solution within yourself, how to let go so that you can break through and move through so you can thrive. Because when we're holding the past, that is holding us stuck. What are those?
All it does is hurt yourself.
Right. Those emotions are what angry, upset, irritate, consistent negative emotions that drag you down, pull you backward, and it drains all your energy. So that is the power of being stuck, not letting go. So what are the benefits of letting go is the opposite of all those. So it's our choice. We have to do a lot of work within us to really dive deep. What is the reason behind we cannot let go is our narrative.
So it's creating that new identity for yourself. I never called myself a divorcee, right? Because an identity, we talk about identity and what that can really mean. I was just like, you know what? I'm a mama on a mission, and I made that my identity as I was going through my marriage that I was together 18 years. But I didn't go, I'm divorced. I never used that like identity. So words are very powerful too. So look at your words, look at what's your emotional home, and look at do you want to change? You have to ask yourself the question, do you you really want to change? I look at it like I'm Loren 4.0 now. I look at like people that are reinvention, the beautiful opportunity of reinvention with yourself, right? Who do I want to be when I hit my 50s? Like, how do I want to be in my 50s? I don't want to be the same person I was in my 30s. I have more experience. I have more knowledge. I have more, whatever, just different things. I think constantly reinventing yourself is a beautiful thing if you can look at it as an opportunity. But people get so attached to their jobs, or they go attached to their roles, that they forget who they are at their core. So I'd ask you, at your core, take away all your roles, because roles are going to disappear. Roles are going to disappear with your work. Roles are going to disappear when, your kids grow up. Roles are going to disappear. Everything shifts. So the only thing consistent is change. Change is going to happen, right? So you need to be as flexible and resourceful as possible so that when change happens, where your home is, your emotional home, that you're strong. And you go, I got this. So I love that you've put this together to be able to help those who really want to be helped.
Yeah, so let's talk about identity. Identity is a role that you build over time. And over time, we build so many identity based on culture and belief and religion and ethnic or whatever. And we identify ourselves as those. Those are not really who we are. Those are just layer of who we are, right? So that's why I tend to not to use I am this, I am that anymore. I rephrase it so that my subconscious doesn't identify that I'm this, I'm that. I would say I do this rather than I am this. That's one of the habit that I do not say anymore. I am this, I'm that. I do this.
That's cool.
Right? So again, it's our narrative, it's our story, that is the role that we build on top of another. That's why we are attached to this. That's why we have difficulty of letting go.
Right.
Subconsciously,
right.
we just respond.
We have to remember we act the part, if you would. I mean, I do use I am statements related to more of emotions for myself. For me, it really represents connection for me. So more of like my emotions of how I feel, because I know that empowers me of the state of being that I'm in. It's back to who you are at your core. When you identify what you stand for in the world, do you want to be an example, or are you going to be a warning? That's it. That's the only options. You can either be an example, or you can be a warning of how not to show up in the world. So it's just identifying, what do you want to do? What is your life about? Are you truly, truly grateful for all the gifts that you have, right? That you can breathe on your own, that you can travel without having to worry about any challenges outside your front door. I really do think that we've got to really just take in appreciation for our lives. And then stack on top of it is, who are you really at your core? I know that no matter what opportunities would come along, that I'd be all right, because I find myself as resilient, unshakable, determined, all of those type of things. And so that's just who I am at my core. Right? I know that I'm real. Not everybody's going to like me. That's okay. I'm not for everybody. That's okay. But I could, if I went back to that old story, I've got lots of great old stories. I got tons of them. I mean, if I wanted to pull them out of the vault, but that doesn't bring me joy. That does not align in my mission of how I really want to show up in the world. But those things did give me the fuel to be who I am today and create the mission that I have today.
Give me an example where you went through and you let go.
So as I shared with you, when I was a little girl, I was 12 years old. Some people would say some pretty intense things to me and my brother, because we were the only two Jewish kids at the school that we went to. A guy would say, oh, the Jews deserve to die in the concentration camps, and you're nothing but a Jew girl, nothing but a Jew boy. And I took my little lunchbox, remember the little lunchbox? And I was very quiet at the time, so I've made up for lost time. I was very quiet. I never spoke up. And I had that little lunchbox that was shaped like a school bus, the little yellow school bus. And one day, this guy was literally beating my brother up in the hallway. He made some comment to my brother who's a year older than me. And he's like, you're just a Jew boy. And I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I took it and I pushed him up against the wall, and I took my lunchbox and I just went boom. And I went to the principal's office, and they said, why did you do that? Hurt somebody. I go, I'm done. I'm done with people being mean to each other. I'm done with and I just let it all out. And I've always fought for the underdog after that. That's kind of been my thing. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the tough times where the girls used to cut my clothes up and hide them from me and do those things. I was like, I got this. I'm going to be all right. And I'm going to be more aware. I feel like I'm pretty aware of what's happening in people's lives. So I feel like it's helped me become a lot more intuitive, tap into my intuition at a very young age, because I could feel because I'd been through it. So I know when something's not right with somebody. So I think that if I hadn't had that experience, I don't know if I would have been as in tune as I am now. It sucked in the meantime. It sucked, honestly, as a little girl. I wouldn't wish it, but I can tell when something's off with my daughter now. I get it. I think that that's why being more aware of all of our actions is so, so very important. But I let it go. I'm not going to hang on to that story. Those girls, guess what? The ones who cut up my clothes, and it's awesome when I go back to town and I see them and I run into an event and I see them and I don't look at them with anger. I look at them and I go, thank you. I don't have any bit of hostility towards them at all. When I went through my divorce and my kid's dad moved to California, I was like, all right, well, how am I going to step up here and be the best mom I can be? I'm not going to have any anger towards him because I'm the one that made the decision. And so you have to own your responsibilities. It's a hard thing, like I said, but it's got to own them.
Yeah, like you mentioned, where you focus, energy flow. What happened to you? There's some people who can just take a different route and lead to another life. You take a different route to lead to growth. And that's when you focus on. When you focus on growth, that's when you thrive in life. That's when you grow as a person and success in your career because you put your time in it. But if we are accustomed to the subconscious mind where we can't get out of it, that's when we need to really dive deeper and do harder work, reach out to a coach or, things like that.
Going to somebody who can really help you, who's seen those experiences before with people. I'm super proud of both two of my kids. They did reach out to coaches. My eldest, he was living in New York City and life changed in Corona and lots of life changes that happened for him. He came back here. He was triggered by a lot of other things. He reached out to a coach. He found a great coach that really worked with him. Now he's in Guatemala, learning all of these cool things. And now he's in Costa Rica. He's really was willing to face everything, right? It has not been fun. Some things have been hard and scary and uncomfortable and he could have embraced other things that weren't good for him. He could have embraced a lot of things that weren't good for him, but he didn't. He was like, I want this to be gone, done, and over for good. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't like feeling this way. This isn't who I am. This isn't what I stand for. So you got to decide, what do you really want your life to be? And
the result of holding the past is anger, sad, upset, all those negative, and it's not helping you moving forward. It's only holding you stuck, right? So you decide now, watching this video, you already have decided that you need change. Pick one thing that you want to focus to move you forward instead of being stuck in there. That eventually will move to another state of being, right?
Well, the first thing that's going to make the biggest thing is who you hang around, who you support. Because if you're around miserable people, you know what I mean? I remember once I was talking to Bob Proctor when I wrote my first book, and I'm like, Bob, I don't get it. Why aren't people excited for me? Why aren't they excited that I'm growing and that I wrote this book? This was 25 years ago, so not your everyday person was writing a book. And Bob's like, it's not that they're not excited for you, Loren. They're afraid you're going to leave them behind. So you got to make sure that you surround yourself with awesome people. Make sure you get somebody who believes in you, who knows that you can get through this tough time and is going to hold you to some high standards.
A lot of people not gone real life experience as an adult to overcome what they had experienced. Because when you have experienced enough in an adult life, you become stronger, and yet you are enabled to have all these ability to overcome struggles rather than the narrative in your stories. Right. So you have to go through the experience as an adult. Surround yourself with the community that are in growth, in personal development, that give you some feedback, that give you some insights in how to go about. Because a lot of people don't have that insight, and you have to find a way to surround yourself with those people.
Yeah, I think that now there's so many great resources, groups to join, people that have been through it, coaches, masterminds. There's so many great support groups that are out there. Unless you get yourself around those people that are going to say, you got this, it's hard to change. I see way too many people, they'll go to a seminar, they'll come to an event, they feel empowered, they feel like I can take on the world, and then they go back to their old environment and people go, you can't do that. Why are you going to do that? So checking in with somebody, listening to podcasts, getting on different, groups, doing that so that people go, no, you're doing great. I think it's super, super, super important.
Yeah, keep it consistently, right?
Absolutely.
So when you're holding back and not letting go, you are not living in the present. You are in the past, which will lead to the future. So So you're really a victim of your life rather than the creator of your life and your future.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, and I'd say, there's a great quote. It says, don't let your rear view mirror be your guide. So if you keep saying, oh, this is my life, and you're using your rear view mirror to try to move forward, it never works. It doesn't work. You either just need to let it go. It's all about progress. If I can just be 1% better today in something, sure, not every day is going to be as organized or perfect as I want it to be, but if I can just be a little bit better each day, then that's a great day. Just appreciating the little wins in your life too, that you open your eyes today, that you can move your hands today, that the sun's out, whatever that it is. So many times we take so much for granted and we just, poor me, poor this, poor that. Yeah, life sucks at times. It's going to happen. You're going to go through different seasons in your life. The world went through a winter, but where it was a great time to reflect, to reinvent, to decide, look at what's really important to you. But some people decided not to focus on that, and they decided to freeze to death. Right? So there's a lot of different things, but everything has a season. A winter, spring, summer, fall. Can't change the seasons. It's going to happen. But how you react to those seasons is what's most important. When I lived up in Portland, Oregon, I was in my 20s. My kid's dad and I had just gotten married, and we wanted a house, and we wanted, all these things. We couldn't afford much, and we lived in a not very good part of Portland. And I was like, I can't believe I have to live here. And, there was that, why can't I have a big house in the nice area? And I remember going to this donut shop, and this lady was sitting by herself, and I'm like, are you okay? And she goes, no, my kids, I went through the depression, and all I ever wanted was to have a roof over my head, and her kids had taken out a second mortgage on her house, and she lost her house. She goes, all I wanted was just a roof over my head. And that changed my life. I'm like, I'm going to be grateful for what I have. I'm going to stop bitching that I'm not living at least I've got a roof over my head and my family's healthy and all of those things. I think attitude of gratitude and just not getting stuck in our own story. Got to love, honor, and respect each season, and love, honor, and respect who you are and who you become in the process.
Yeah. A lot of us subconsciously focus on things that we don't have instead of focus on things that we do have. Even for we focus on not letting go instead of focus on what we need to do. Yep. Again, it go back to where you focus on energy flow. When we focus on things that are not going well or things that we're not having, we are trying to escape something.
Yep, absolutely. Or we're resentful, we're jealous, we're all of those things instead of realizing that we are the creator and that we can create at any moment. And once again, going back to who do you need to become? Do you need to stop comparing yourself? Do you need to really look about how far that you've come? I'm always looking at every week, I look at what was great about this week. What can I appreciate about this week? We're human. We're going to get into that state where there's so many things that take our attention, the noise. There's so much noise around us, and it's easy to compare yourself when you see all the noise going on if you choose to buy into it.
Yeah, a lot of things can be misunderstood. There's a phrase that, who do you want to become? For me, it's not about who you want to become. It's about how you declutter all the narrative in your stories. Yep. To reconnect with your true self. You're not going to become somebody. You already are. Mm-hmm. It's just you have to declutter what is buried inside of you. Right. Declutter those to reconnect with your true self.
Yep, absolutely.
That's the key.
Absolutely.
You don't have to become something. You have to declutter what is being accumulated within you.
What's all the stuff you've brought into your house, your emotional house that maybe hasn't been serving you?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what kind of pulling you back and holding these stories and not letting go.
Right.
It's when you can declutter all these things within you, then letting go will be automatic for you.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it.
So that's the key.
Absolutely.
So the work is within you, the responsibility, the accountability, the acceptance, all those things are inner work.
Yep.
So you need to dive deep. You can do with journaling, you can do with meditation, you can do a lot of reflection, and you have to do a lot of distraction reduction. Surround yourself with like-minded people and reach out help if you need extra help.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Would you like to add anything?
I'd say fall back in love with yourself again. Fall in love with yourself. You know, I mean, I remember one day I was having a really hard day. I don't even know how many years ago it was. And I remember just drawing hearts all over my body. And I'm like, I love you. And I just fell back in love with myself again. Because you can't give what you don't have. And too many people are running on empty.
Correct.
I think that we really, really, really do need to fall back in love with ourselves. Treat yourself like as if it was this beautiful little newborn baby. Decide today, if I were to give birth to myself today, what would I say to myself? How much appreciation would I have for that newborn baby? Oh my gosh, you're going to have such an amazing life. I'm here to nourish you, to take care of you, to make sure to guide you as much as I can. I mean, have a real conversation and fall back in love with yourself. So
yeah.
Be true to that.
Like treating yourself like a plant that had not been watered, that had been abandoned for a long time and rotten, but under the root there, it has the power to thrive, right? So when you start to pluck all the dry leaves and clean it up and water it, and over time, flower gonna bloom, right?
Absolutely.
And then you're in love with your flower again. Right. And that would be so powerful.
And that's why the lotus is so beautiful. The lotus that grows in the muddy waters doesn't grow all the time. Lotus is a beautiful example of how it's appreciated all that dark time, but it still decided to be beautiful and to grow, even though there might be, junk around it, if you would. So you decide.
Self-development requires a lot of nurturing, and we weren't trained to nurture ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, because I made sure for me personally that was a must for my kids. There was
the older generation like us or prior, but now I think it's more so now because we're trained.
I would say, I read in a book many, many years ago. It's called the Delaney Sisters Book of Wisdom. And to really have that sacred space for yourself, and that must have been 25 plus years ago that I read the book. And so to make sure that that's a must for our kids and to honor that, like if we want our kids to respect us, we need to respect them. And so I make sure that my kids have always had a sacred space for themselves, that they always knew they could just take that time for themselves and I wasn't going to bother them, and they knew my sacred space place as well. But I think that's a must for people to have that place for ourselves.
Yeah. Unfortunately, majority of people don't have that skills.
Once again, goes back to awareness. Once again, it goes back to that simple thing of you can't give what you don't have. Too many people are running on empty.
Like a lot of people who goes to the webinar or the workshop and they got fired up, and then when they go back to their normal life, they go fall back to the old habit. It's because it had not synced into their system.
They haven't conditioned it.
Right. Would you like to add anything else? Where people find you?
Sure. So they can go to Loren, Loren, Lahav, LAHAV.com, or they can text TRUE, TRUE, to 26786, and they can find out about our Badass and Beautiful just free community. They can get updates, our newsletter, and I always love to give things away. So I would love, 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 love to support you and your guests any way that I can. And it's been a pleasure being with you. And looking forward to our friendship growing.
Thank you so much. Thank you, you guys. And remember to reconnecting with yourself so that you can be more authentic and more truth to yourself. You don't have to be somebody else. It's all in you to declutter and so reconnect with your authentic self so you can live your fullest life. Thank you for watching. I see you guys in the next episode.